Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, I hope you can hear me because our son is sleeping and I don't want to wake him up because he's a hard-working young man. That said, Mercury, what the HECK-trograde? I'm respectful of people's belief systems and so thereby and also there's a reasoning, a rationale, a behavioral pattern that makes people cling to or choose, I shouldn't say cling to, but choose the different concepts they have about life, and I respect that process. It's definitely a process. So when it comes though towards understanding what our different processes are, there are just natural human ways. I'm looking for the best manner not to be insulting or to be catty about something that there are people out there who really are believing these certain forces. And I'm only here to say there is a one and an only. He has many names, but be cognizant of the name that you choose, that it is directly connected to his guidance, his just proof, his ways, and not to just hedonistic free-for-all fest where you embrace everything, where you are then vulnerable to deviltry and the handlers out there and the you could be going to a coven and you don't even know you're going to a coven, but it's teaching you how to be about fraud, how to be fearful. And so Dr. Z this morning, I did a wonderful little experiment that I didn't know that I was the subject of the experiment. When I woke up, he came and he asked me, he's like, so have you been experiencing any difficulties, any extra difficulties? And I said, well, other than trying to talk our family into supporting the only sister who's warning you about Fukushima fallout, but that surely ain't new. No. And he says, maybe technical problems. And I was like, no. And he's like, so Mercury retrograde isn't bothering you? And I was like, oh, is it that time again? I've seen folks out there put warnings out about, it's Mercury retrograde. And I don't even, it's a planetary body. And the one that's closest to the sun, small, moves really quickly, and it's a planet. It's a planet. Now there's a consciousness to the universe without a doubt, but above all of that is the one and only. And his warning about he's a jealous God. I remember watching Oprah Winfrey get all just arrogantly upset about the one and only saying he is a jealous God. That's a magnificent mercy on his part to remind frail human us, keep it together, right? Don't go sniffing around in places that you don't know a daggone thing about. We don't know anything about making planets, making universes, making galaxies. And so when you go to these folks and they have all of these, like, I swear I've got the way for you. That's the question you got to ask yourself. Can they remake the universe? When I come up here and I just offer my insight and my reflections on different things, I am not capable of making another universe. That's why I don't come up here and say, oh, you gotta bow down to Allah. You gotta bow down to the one and only, but do so in the way that He has guided you to embrace Him. And there's different things that I share about why I know the one and only is a man, a black man at that. And that's simply because you could look at the nature of the male and the female, and just going up the chain of command to us humans. You could look at the male and female of any species, but ultimately we're not supposed to be following animals. I'm not saying that as if I have contempt for animals. I love animals, no doubt. I always include them in my prayers. But when you look at the nature of the thinking, because that's what all this is, constant lessons. It is ultimately a lesson about using your faith, using your wisdom with thought. Because He gives nature to every single creature out there. And the beautiful thing to watch with the animals is how they don't step out of their nature unless there's some sort of manipulation that comes in and then perverts them to another way that after a while they can't return to a natural setting and survive. And the one factor that the animals are missing so that they themselves could escape that conditioning is the ability to think independent of all the things that are going on around them. And thereby, when you're looking at non-communicative, but still filled with that energetic force that goes right to the one and only, you're not looking at the highest pinnacle of where we as thinking beings can reach. So the animals, I don't think that they hold any prayerful sessions, but we can, and we can also think beyond that. Because when I would ponder how many people come against organized religion in and of itself, I understood the answer, which is we have a devil who is conditioning us so that we now look at the magnificent act of submitting to the one and only as if the white man owns it. And as if, suddenly having a nation that has no military force is a preferable idea because, those militaries, they've been so evil throughout society. As if building cities that are built based on righteousness, based on I hate to even use the word egalitarian, but based on our ancient principles of sharing and, just not having voracious greed, as if that in and of itself is something white. No, it's not. But notice, nobody's saying, oh, we got to give up all these cities. We got to run off into the woods because cities have done nothing but evil. And so when you're thinking about a military force to protect your right to your peace, what greater military force can you have but to submit with your society in submission to the one and the only. I love when I read the Quran and I run across these magnificent passages. In one of them, I don't remember which surah it was, but one of them, for me, when I read the Quran, I'm reading science. And it said there wasn't a committee, there wasn't a group who created this universe. Because look at how we have so many issues with our magnificent right to choose for ourselves, which Allah graced each and every single one of us with. In the midst of all of that is going to be just friction, disagreements. That's not evil. That's simply a gift, a blessing from Him, that when we are in submission to His rules, it becomes easier for us to interact one to another. It becomes easier for us to rebuild the ruined cities. And so when we stop in that chain of divinity that he has just put together for us, and we start listening to these pebbles on the road, so that a pebble will wind up tricking us up, and we call it the devil, then we are off course. We are out of the order of the orbit of spiritual sanity. And thereby, when we go and we consult the ancestors, I have absolute honor for the ancestors. I use them and the lessons they have provided while they were alive to guide my behavior as I also am alive. Now that they're all gone, living human beings have so many different issues. I am not about to try to figure out what dead spirits that have a reason to be lingering around us enough so that we could consult them. I am not about to try to figure out what their pathology is. I'm going to go to the one and only. Thank you very much. And thereby, that's how I recommend highly, because now we're seeing the rolling out of the prophecy as never has been seen before. When you have these, doomsday societies out there who swear, and I'm talking about in the past, here we go, we're going to consult not our ancestors, but theirs, for the information, and they will show up on a mountain spot saying, this is the minute, everything's going to be destroyed right now. And you look in the books and it says, no one knows the appointed hour. No one. And so you see all this prophecy being rolled out in front of us. When I saw Fukushima fall out, I was like, it's the pouring of the cups. It started in the waters and it's rolling up in the rivers. I'm like, who doesn't understand what's going on right now? But you want to go to Mercury? What intelligent guidepost has a planet that's like hanging on for dear life right up close to the sun? Don't worship the sun either. Okay? What guidance has it left there? What intelligent processes has that planet set up? So that you need to be worried. And that's one of the things that all of this does, is that this Mercury in retrograde is always presented as a fearful thing. Uh-oh, everything's going to start falling apart. When Dr. Z asked me, no, I'm fine. Right? But yeah, they always have these things, these hurdles. And when it comes to dealing, because for me right now, I'm like, let me just show you. You need these soaps. A lot of us, we are branded to believe in that there's no greater authority than the devil. And then we will ignore those who come right in front of us with solutions, and we don't avail ourselves of that. People who do you think this was easy? I mean, it was easier than writing this and writing this, but these are excellent too. But I know, I'm like, I got to put those remedies down. And I got to keep trying to let you know to support me. And so in looking at frustrations, you have to, especially, it's a wonderful thing to grow and mature, to age, because you learn how to deal with those frustrations, especially when you are in submission to the Most High. Because frustration's going to happen. I don't care. That's what this society in their media puts out, that you're going to reach a certain point where you're not going to, like, I wanted to film this out in my indoor garden with the plant and the fauna, but I don't have any lighting system set up there that is sufficient, so that it's, it looks a little bit dark and foreboding. And I was like, I just got to do it in the kitchen. and frustration. So I've been dragging, lights in, dealing with wires and, all kinds of moving the camera here, setting it up because I got a low table out there. I got to put something under it. Frustrations. I'm hand holding the camera right now because I realized I needed to add that we seek out these just middle faiths, middle beliefs, middle hopes, because we're frustrated, we're frightened, we feel powerless, and we have a devil in charge of what could be a really rotten destiny, especially with him in charge. He's certain. I like that little umbrella, but I don't know how to get the camera. See, frustrations. We seek these little nothingness. It's all the nothingness because it gives us a sense of our godliness, not godliness, because to be godly is to be in submission to the one and only, but we seek to override because our faith is not adequate to our fear often. And that's why just that prayer, first thing in the morning and then throughout the day, that grounds you so you can keep striving and building up those faith muscles. You recognize this too shall pass. Mercury too has it passed already? But I ain't feel anything but what is real. So when they put this programming in your head that you're supposed to reach a point, even rich people have to deal with the day-to-day frustrations of getting up, you gotta go to the bathroom, if you're eating well, you got a lot of cleanup to do after you get off of that throne, or before you get off of that throne. I know they got them fancy little bidet things and all the rest of it. That's really nice, but what, it's gonna do it all for you? No, of course not. I don't care what kind of equipment there is. So you just get to the next point. I do want, and sometimes talking about the frustrations is a wonderful thing. Like when I edit this together, I'm going to have to, usually the editing process takes a long time because I am trying to present a better product to you. I don't ever want it to be professional, because when I see things and they got all the bells and whistles and sound effects and all the rest of it, that's when I really start wondering what's wrong with this person. And so in the middle of all of that, when you reach that little level where you can feel your cortisol raising, your adrenaline raising, you just sit back and you remember all the other times. And that actually has a proven response in your neural communication, where your neurons can be trained like an athlete trains for a marathon or for some great feat. Your neurons are also part of every single thing that you do physically. Well, thinking is a physical action. You just can't see it, you can't feel it, but you experience the result of it more than you feel the result of anything else that you accomplish in your life. Because if you feel, some sort of emotional confusion, it becomes everything that you're about. It impacts everything. But if I have, injured leg, I could manage to get along to the next thing that I have to do. But if I'm stark raving insane, everything's going to slow down and maybe shut down. And so in developing that neural connection, that's a heck of a lot more pertinent than worrying about what the heck Mercury's doing. And if you develop that neural connection in submission to the one and only, then you have got a roadmap to heaven right where you stand. And you'll be standing tall and proud, No matter what the heck is going on around you, inside you, about you, you're good. You're good. It may take time, but you get stronger. The way Allah made our beautiful black bodies is just extraordinary. Because that electrical conductivity is non-par to any other people. And I wish everybody could be black. We wouldn't have Fukushima if that were the case, right? But I'm just saying, it's a beautiful thing to be us, but we have enemies. We have enemies who are going to set stuff up so that we will get extra frustrated. They're going to try to entreat us to go off the straight path. And that is just utter chaos and confusion because there is no guidance there. All right? All right. I think you understand what I'm saying very, very much. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, all I have to do is be of benefit, be of service to you so you can know it's time to go. It's time to say goodbye to the folks who have branded our minds. So when we see what's real, we think, she can't know what she's talking about. When, tell me, who else out here is doing what I do so that you can see the benefit right now, right here, right in this. Go to 25,000 year cycle, because way back before I even met Dr. Z, I was already on a mending path where I was in submission to the one and only, knowing, his dating guidance is really amazing. It's much better than hella weird. And so that when I met Dr. Z, I waited years to see what's his character. And because I waited, I live in heaven every day. Even when I'm frustrated in heaven, I just keep it going and everything lines straight up and up. Allahu Akbar. Love you, family. Straight black family pride. And we are on the road to forever. Peace and blessings.